Hi there, and good Friday afternoon to you. I'm Tanya Rivens, and this is Canceling COVID. Hopefully, you can hear me. The music sounds like it's a little loud on my end, so let's see what's happening here. There we go. Hey, good Friday afternoon. I'm Tanya Rivens, and this is Canceling COVID. My theme music is The Bomb, of course, courtesy of my husband. But thank you for hopping on with us. We're so excited about the conversation that's ahead for us. Nice, hot summer day. And of course, there's so many other things that you could be doing. We're so proud that you're taking the time to join us on this Friday to just talk about real talk. About what's happening in our community. Again, I'm Tanya Rivens. This is Canceling COVID. And thanks for watching a conversation for real talk, real solutions, how we can stay safe in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. And it is still going on, folks. So don't for one chance or for 1 minute believe that it's not happening. Of course, we want to say thank you to our sponsors. I think I'm a little too close to you guys right now. I'm going to make a little adjustment. There we go. Thank you to our sponsors, Mecklenburg County Public Health, metcountync.gov, metcountync.gov. And of course, another sponsor is Groundwater Solutions. And what we're doing, again, holding these conversations, trying to educate you and give you information from reliable sources. There are so many experts out there. I made this comment yesterday. I've never met so many doctors in my life. They got all the answers, all of the solutions, and yet and still they haven't had the proper training. So we are really asking that you guys take the time to get valuable information and go and share it. And just a correction on the sponsorship is mecnc.gov. Again, mecnc.gov. My apologies for that. I think I typically get it right, but I didn't today. And thank you for pointing that out to me because we're so grateful. They are available for you to answer whatever questions you may have. And feel free to reach out to them, mecnc.gov. That's mecnc.gov or 980-314-9400. Let's jump into the conversation today. Right now, COVID-19 is surging in the U.S. The CDC now predicts cases will peak in mid-October with daily deaths more than triple what they are right now. Are you listening to this, folks? We've worked too hard to go in another direction. So come on, my people. Come on, family. Deaths more than triple what they are right now. We don't want to go back to losing our loved ones. We can't go back there. We worked so hard. So it's even more crucial now, more than ever, to take a stand for your life and your family. Some people say take one for the team. Let's just come on and take care of our neighbor, love on one another. It's right here before us. The experts are working so hard, and I know the naysayers are working even harder, but you've got to take the time to figure out exactly what's most important to you. Now, the mission of our next guest, and I'm hoping that they are available to come on, it is Judith Brown from Project 70 Forward. And she's also got James Lee of James Lee and Associates. And we're going to talk about an event that they are hosting, which is along these lines of trying to educate our community and get people involved. And I'm not exactly sure, what more is it going to take? Because once you lose people, obviously that's something that really has an impact in your life. So I'm seeing that Judith is not here just yet, but I've got James Lee. So good afternoon, Mr. Lee.
Good afternoon. How are you today?
I'm doing great. So I really appreciate you joining us, and hopefully we can get Miss Brown on as well from Project 70 Forward. But talk about the big vaccine give back fair that you guys are hosting tomorrow. Tell us more about it.
Well, this is actually Judith's idea to really reach out to the community in a really impactful way because she is. Um, we
There
we
we go.
believe that we have to reach the community in a different way, right? Because there's so much information out there and so much hesitancy. It's like, so how do we get that information across? I've been vaccinated, so we just feel like in an event like this, where we like are actually in the people's faces and they actually see us out and they know who we are, right? So we're
Right.
bringing some folks together that work in the neighborhood to do that kind of community impact. So I'll let Judy tell you a little bit more about what her thought was with
So
putting it
Miss
together.
Thank you, Mr. Lee, and thank you for holding it down, giving the intro as we got everything worked out technically. So, Miss Judith, first of all, good afternoon. I'm familiar with your work in the community, and thank you for that. So, talk more about the vaccine back, the event, Give Back event tomorrow. And I don't know if you're muted right now.
Am I unmuted?
Ah, you are now.
Okay, there we are. I always say,
Okay.
can you hear me now before I start going into it? But yeah, James and I, we've worked together on past events like the census and elections. And we started off, very kind of happy, like we got a vaccine. Yay, we can start to get back out. And then we started to see these reports about numbers are going back up, and there's even places now where they're asking people to start masking up again, and
Yep.
we had to really pivot. We were just going to be doing these happy joy welcome back events, and we said, you know what, no, we still have to educate. We still have to make sure our communities get the best and the latest information. Never mind that, Tanya, around Charlotte, we still have communities that are under 30% vaccinated.
Mm.
In fact, where we're doing our vaccine give back is in this neighborhood of Greer Heights, and we're standing around 30.7.
Oh
So
man.
you're thinking for a small area of maybe a couple of thousand people, we are under 689 people vaccinated. That's a
And
low
no,
number.
it really is. And it's so staggering because we've had this conversation. We continue to talk about the benefits, and you see people, that have been vaccinated and know they don't have a chip and know there's nothing growing out of their neck. And we're just functioning like regular people, but yet they still choose. But I think a big part of it is just education, and it's got to be a more intimate approach. And that's what's happening. Casting that big net, and you guys we share the same philosophy. It's these grassroots, and even if you don't want to do it, if you want to make an impact, you're going to have to do it. I see we got some people hopping on. Travis Rivens is on, Erica Somerton Beatty. Hey, weigh in. We'd love to hear what you're thinking right now. We got some people that are fairly regular guests that hop on and share their thoughts, and they share this post that we're on, and other people find out the information that we are providing. 1,800 new COVID-19 cases were reported in our state alone on Thursday. That's a 76% increase in daily cases from last week. And it's the highest since May, where we all, like you said, we thought we had turned that curve, that corner where things were going to get better. So, what is the message that you hope the public will walk away from when they come out to the fair on tomorrow?
Well, we've literally said, come out and hear us out. Come out and sit down. You're not talking to people, we're talking to people who live right here in Greer Heights. I live in Greer Heights. James was born and raised in Greer Heights. So we're people you're going to see every day after tomorrow. You're going to see us in the stores. You're going to see us shopping for our groceries. We are coming to you, and come sit down and bring your questions, bring
Mhm.
your hesitancy, bring whatever is making you think, I'm not thinking about doing this. And we've even had team members who were in the same boat. They were on the fence.
You're
And
right.
what made them eventually go ahead and say, you know what, I want to do this? A lot of it had to do that. We wanted to see our loved ones. We wanted to
You're
travel. We wanted to see our grandchildren. We wanted to see our families. And we knew that the best way to do that would be vaccinated. So trust me, we're ready for a conversation, not just a good time and thank you for coming, but we're ready for real conversation.
Well, you mentioned the motivation of seeing your families, your loved ones, but what else really moved you to get involved with this outreach? Either one of you. I know that, again, Project 704 has been working in the community, but along the lines of COVID-19, maybe speak on what Project 704 represents, and that would answer that question.
Well, Project 704, we're a nonprofit organization for the support and advancement of people with disabilities. And what I wanted to do was to make sure people who were dealing with maybe chronic illnesses or chronic conditions had the best information that they can. There's three members of my family. We all deal with different disabling conditions. And all of us went straight to our doctors and said, look, tell us the truth. Should we or should we not? And so we were all given the green light to go ahead. So my son, who has autism, my sister, who's a three-time stroke survivor, she did
Mm,
better than all of us. She
well,
barely had any side effects. My husband, Chuck had his. We all went together as a family and did this, and we all did well. No one is suffering, months and months later in any way, shape, or form. So, and I do have people who cannot take the virus. You're going to see them probably still masking because of whatever conditions they have. But the goal was is to make sure we had the best information for people who were part of that vulnerable group who in the beginning couldn't even come out of their homes.
right, right.
That was the real motivation for me.
And you guys are working with people. You talk about motivation. I remember with my mom, she is 85 this month, praise God. And she was not so much at first we weren't even trying to hear of it, wasn't thinking about it. And then we started seeing, what was happening all around us and it's like, okay, I even had a person comment to me, "Well, I think it's better for the more seniors to go ahead and get it." And that is one way of looking at it. You're right. But I wanted to say I'm so proud of her now because she even said to me, "I think I need to start back wearing my mask because the numbers are going up." And that's a win because that means she has now started paying attention. Of course, she got vaccinated, no problems, and everything was fine. But the point now that she is more alert to what's happening around her. I've got more questions for you guys, and thank you so much for spending this afternoon with us. But I got some comments here. So Franklin Russell is also a regular. He's a minister here at Greater Tabernacle, Greater Myers, I believe. Reverend Russell, it bothers me so much to see or hear our people not taking the vaccine. I would like to know if we are asking people why they won't take the vaccine and then we dispel those ideas. I heard one of my former members who had not taken the vaccine because he or she said the vaccine is the mark of the beast. Immediately, he did a Bible study session to teach that this is not true. And it's so amazing how we're so quick to accept what everyone else says. And that's what you just kind of we've been talking about, especially in our community. It's like you're brainwashed. You hear whatever you want to hear and just accept it instead of trying to go to the source. If you're a believer and someone's told you it's the mark of the beast, why wouldn't you get with a scholar or a theologian and try to a theologian and get with them and say, explain to me, show me, I want to know, versus just taking someone's word for it. And I guess that's what's so frustrating. I see you guys nodding your head. So, what are some of the things that you're hearing out in the community? I've heard everything from a chip in that needle to it's population control. It just goes on and on and on.
Well,
And there is so go ahead.
I was saying, go ahead, James. Have a
Uh, uh,
good.
th- there are so many reasons that people have for not wanting to take it. Some of them being most of what I've been hearing is that people just want to wait. No
Yeah,
matter what kind of information we bring to them, they're gonna wait no matter what, no matter who tells them, no matter even if somebody who they know, even their wife or spouse, do you have those folks who are just dead set, I'm not gonna take it no matter what. And then you have those
I
folks
like
who are
that,
like, I'm
James.
not gonna take it, but you can convince me if you bring enough information to me where I understand on another level that what I'm saying, that I can digest, because there's a lot for us to digest with this vaccine, right? We've
Right,
never been through this before, so it's hard for us to digest all of this information we've been getting. Not people don't know that they've been working on vaccines for years, but a lot of folks think, no, this thing just popped out of the blue.
right,
So when you don't have people that are already informed, and then you do something like this, something that's a pandemic where we've never been through it before, I think there's going to be a lot of challenges for us to get where we need to be, where everybody's safe. I think Judy and I just want to make sure that, number one, people get the information to make their own decision, because at the end of the day, they're going to make their own decision anyway,
well,
right?
James,
So I think the best that we can do is just to encourage them to get the information, and then if we, because they know most of the time they know us, so you get those trusted messengers. They know I'm not going to lie to them. I'm not playing a game. I'm doing
right,
this because I care about you and I care about my community, right? So it's
right,
like it's going beyond me. So I think a lot of those conversations where you got people who just want to wait, people who want to just see what's going to happen to other people, all these kind of things, and we already know that most of the side effects are within 2 months. But see, most people They, even if you tell them that and show it, they still won't believe it. So we have a challenge
James, can you
in
hear
our
me okay?
community.
James, can you hear me? I wanted to know when they say wait, how long are they talking about waiting? Because I've heard
A
people say,
year.
oh, so they want it to be 1 year, even if it costs them their life, then they're okay with that.
But and I don't know where that arbitrary year comes from.
Right,
But
right.
on a consistent basis, people have been saying they're going to just wait a year, and I
Because
don't
we've been
know.
at this now about a year and a half. So it's like, and I know the vaccine hasn't been out that long, but my whole thing, some people say, well, I'm waiting on FDA approval. And it's like, okay, that's coming shortly. But, the FDA approves things based on longevity, but we also see things along those lines and maybe approved, maybe not. I think the fact that so many people have been vaccinated should help for people to see that, this is what we need to do so that we can all live in a more comfortable manner than where we were before. I've got some good comments here, so let me just share. Reverend Russell, I had part of the church right, another part. So it's Myers Tabernacle. I think I said Greater Myers or Tabernacle, but it's Myers Tabernacle Amy Zion Church. Thank you, Reverend Russell. So I've got Nichelle Dunlap Thompson who said, "Good afternoon. People perish for lack of knowledge. However, there have been so many incidences in the past where the government has let the people down. According to what James said, it's not a matter of if, but when." And that's another argument, folks, that I hear even in people around me and the mistrust and what has gone on with the government. We all know that. We're not denying that. But we also cannot deny that out of the 600,000 people that died, the majority was in our community. African Americans and Latinos were hit the hardest. As soon as the vaccine became available, that number dropped. There's no denying that. You guys agree?
Yeah, we agree. We actually put out a survey, and we're doing this. We're going to be doing this survey all through the summer and into the fall season. And we're asking people to tell us carte blanche, what's the hesitancy? What are your reasons, so that we can go out and find those real answers for you. As far as the FDA approval, I just read where they're talking about they may approve it as early as the end of August because
Yes.
it has been that successful. And that's the Pfizer that's about to probably be FDA approved. And what that's going to then do is that's now going to push it into, hey, this is on the lines with your measles, mumps, and rubella. This is on the lines with your other vaccines that we give to our children. And they
Right.
are working on a vaccine for our kids now. So we're not at the stage where we were in the beginning. We're literally like, this is working. This is saving lives. This is keeping people away from severe illness and long COVID, which we really don't want anyone to get. That's a very difficult condition that is taking people out of their livelihoods and their work. So we're going to be doing that survey where we just ask people, hey, tell us, have you or have you not gotten the vaccine? Tell us why, so that we can really tailor answers for people when we do our events and when we do our town halls.
So Judith and James, I have another one because see, I've been doing this since January, and I've made it. I've been focused. I've had all the experts, and I know about the alternatives. So here's another one. Why can't we take vitamins like wild oregano and all the vitamin D? All these things are good for you. And I say, well, why can't you do both? I mean, why do you have to say, okay, this is the alternative? And that's one of the things that people are wanting to hear as well. What else can I do if this is not an option? And my thing is, we should be trying to live healthier lives anyway. So why does it have to be either or? Why can't it be and? And I've got a question here, and maybe my producer can check it out. Tracy Babers, good afternoon. Thank you so much. He says, do you have any info on vaccinations, the breakdown by race, who's getting it and who's not? And initially we were lagging behind so far in our community. It was like, what is really happening? And of course, the distrust, we knew that that was going to be an issue. No one's denying any of that, of course. But one of the points that I was always making, or I like to make as well, Reverend Russell just put it in our chat. 600,000 people have died from COVID. As far as he knows, no one has died from the vaccine. And there may have been, but by numbers and by percentage, there's just no comparison. And so people like to talk about the side effects. Well, I don't know not one medicine that doesn't have side effects. I don't know any medicine that you take that's not a risk for you. So it's great to see you guys working as soldiers out, doing the groundwork and beating the path with this event that you're having. So working in the community and Greer Heights and working around people. What is it like when also we're experiencing all this devastation because again the numbers are going back up, and if it's not scaring you that our young people now are dying from it. And
Yeah.
I read where we are pretty high in numbers, Charlotte, for North Carolina, of the amount of youth that are orphaned as a result of losing their parents
Mm.
to COVID. I mean, this stuff is real, folks.
This is
And
real.
so we've got to start trusting. If you're a believer and you say you trust, then at what point do you start trusting and leaning on your faith? But what is it like for you guys? We got this devastation going on around us. You're right there working in the community and you're seeing it and you're trying to talk to these people. Do you get frustrated, Judith or James?
I got over being frustrated when we were back in the census and people said, we never do the census. And after seeing me, after a while, they did the census. I realized that when you're in a community, you're going to face a lot of opposition to a lot of things because sometimes people are kind of stuck in the way they've done things.
Right.
But one thing I wanted to actually go back and address, I think everybody should do everything they possibly could. When I heard that for us that we needed to up our vitamin D, I sure did went out there and I stocked up on our vitamin D for the whole family. And I said, listen, I need everybody to start doing this. I need you to put your mask on. I need you to have your own individual hand sanitizer. And I need you to take the vaccine. So it's not an either or, people. I
Right.
really think that what you need to do, and this is a person who I deal with a lot of chronic illnesses, I'm always working on trying to have the best health I possibly can. And this vaccine was more in my favor than against my favor. So I do still take my vitamin C's and vitamin D's. We bought some sea moss the other day. I believe in natural things. I try to stay off as much prescription medication as possible. However, when it came down to something that could give me permanent damage to lungs and other organs, when it came down to having long COVID or even facing death, I just did not want to deal with any of that with any of my family members. I wanted us all to survive. And I think what we're doing is the best way to do it. In the community, I think when we do these events and we try to just get people to slow down and listen, we're not going to argue with you. We're not here to, you got to do it now. In fact, the last event we did in June, we talked to people for 4 hours. No one got their vaccine. But then we heard about people afterwards saying, hey, I remember talking to you and I thought about it. And then I went and I signed up. That's still a win
Yes, it
because we're
is.
getting people vaccinated.
You're
So,
planting that seed.
right. And
Yeah.
sometimes that's what I want people to do. And as James says, I want you to go out then and start to do your own research. Don't rely on everything you hear out of, a group chat or, Facebook or,
Yeah.
go and do your own research. And we're going to have groups that have done research and are going to put it there CDC information, health department information. We're not relying on anything that isn't backed by science.
James, did you want?
And yeah, and then when you talk about while we do this work, and I think Judy kind of alluded to it, that we're thinking like ahead, right? We're thinking that we do this work not for today, but for the future of our community, right? Because and they've already said it, and I was afraid of this earlier, that we good now because it's warm, but once it starts to get cool and cold, the
Mhm.
death rate might be worse than it is last year. Can you imagine that? So I think that's what drives me, and I think that's what drives Judith and the team that we put together, to think about the future for folks in our community. If we can help now, then the greatness is going to be on the backside. So it's not about, we're thinking the future stuff as we do stuff today. You know what I'm saying? As you do the present stuff, the present work, we're working on future stuff so we can get folks that will uh take better care of themselves now and be connected with resources. Their families will have a better opportunity to survive in here in Charlotte, because it's a challenge to live in Charlotte, especially in a community like Greer Heights and some other neighborhoods that's gentrifying, and the resources are there, but then everybody's forgetting about the people. And I think Judy and I, we're always thinking about the people who can't be in spaces like this. You know,
Yeah,
they can't fight. They don't know how to fight for themselves. And if they do, they may fight in a different way, right? We want
right.
people to fight in the good way, not like
Well,
in the bad way.
and Project 704, it continues to work in the community. So again, I was trying to get some information for Tracy Baber Sr. Thank you for hopping on. I was reaching out to my producer to get that information. And like I said, I know originally it was our community that was really with the lowest amount. Because if you guys remember, initially it was a high demand. And our community was missing out because you had to go online, you had to register, and there was the digital divide. And so we were being left out. And then all of a sudden, once the other population or some of the other ethnicities, they were busy, getting the vaccine. And then once that started to balance out and the demand became even lower, or became lowered, our community all of a sudden started believing, okay, this is not good for us. And I don't mean all of a sudden like let's back up, but there was some interest initially. I know Village Heartbeat here worked with a lot of their members and set up some things with, I believe, Atrium Health, so they would come and get them vaccinated. But now it's just, we realize you're at the point now where you got people that flat out don't want to get it. And so how do you have this conversation to let them know? And then, of course, we can't ignore the whole political divide. It was allowed to be weaponized as far as politics, which was couldn't be more hurtful to us as a country because it's more about just science and common sense. I see that Mr. Baper's had another question. How are we doing with kids under 5? Are they safe? Because I don't think they're getting vaccinated. And as best I can recollect, there isn't a vaccine yet for kids under 5. Is it age 12 and older?
It's 12. We're
Yeah.
at the point where anyone under the age 12, and it's so fun. It's wonderful that you brought that up. I just posted a video on my page this morning that
Uh-huh.
talked about what do we do as parents for to protect our children. And the best thing as parents that we can do is that everybody who's over 12 vaccinated, because
Right.
that's going to create what they call like a little bubble
Mm,
around our younger children. They also ought to be masked when they're younger. And I understand 2-year-olds are not going to want to be masked, but as much
right.
as you can, mask your younger children, keep those hands clean, making sure they're not touching their eyes and face. Literally, we've got to go back for them for some of the original things that we were learning how to do and helping them understand that. Listen, I was a bus monitor and I was on that bus last year with kindergartners and first-year-olds and helping them keep that mask on, helping them keep their hands sanitized and walking what we used to call mummy feet apart
Yeah.
was a challenge. But you know what? Children are resilient and they
Mhm.
quickly learned how to do something. They would tell us, hey, my mask is dirty. I need another one. This one doesn't fit right. I mean, literally, children will learn very quickly. So I think when we set the right example as parents to mask up or be vaccinated and talk positively about the things we have to do in order to stay safe, that's the best thing that we can do for our children, especially since I do believe schools are going to be open going back to school next month.
And not to mention, and I've said this before, how nice was it to not have flu and colds and all those things in my home over the winter time because I was wearing a mask. And there are some great habits that we've been able to develop, like once you come in, washing your hands immediately inside, keeping sanitizer with you. And, even as someone vaccinated, still wearing masks, all those things only can help us as we continue. I think for me, I'm just trying to impress with people that are hesitant. What if we all felt that way? What if we all just said, I'm going to wait for a year? There's not, I don't trust, I'm this, I'm that. Just imagine where we would be. So take ownership and try to find out because we've got to work through this together and try and show love that we should already have for our family, not just our family, but our neighbors. So let's talk about the fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, talk about the event again tomorrow as we wrap things up. It's been great talking to you all. We really appreciate you all stepping in for us right here. The fair tomorrow, who all's invited, and just tell us more about it.
James,
Well, we're going to be at the Thompson Family Services on Wendover Road, and that's a community partner in the Greer Heights community. So we invited a lot of the organizations that's working over there. So we're going to actually have two things going on. We're going to have a drive-through with a lot of these vendors going to be giving away stuff. It's going to be a total giveaway tomorrow. That's Judy's idea. So, and we're also going to have an opportunity for people to walk up and take the vaccine, get vaccine information, whatever that is. So we tomorrow, like Judy says, we're just going to love on the community, right? It's,
Right.
and have a conversation. Is we were going to do, like Judy said, we're going to do a happy joy thing, but we are really in a situation now. We really want to enjoy ourselves, but we want to party with a purpose, right? We
Right. Right.
don't just want to be out there. So we just want to invite everybody out there, from 12 to 4. Just bring yourself. I mean, you can walk up. We hope to have a good crowd. We got a lot of good vendors just going to be just loving on folks. And we just hope that everybody's going to have a good day, and just want to talk about where we want to be in the future, because it's important for our community. So we
Right.
appreciate the opportunity to speak about this.
Yeah,
So Project
I'll give
704.
the
Yeah.
I was going to give the address real quick.
Okay.
769 North Wendover Road. It's the Thompson Child and Families. It's in their parking lot. We're gonna have music with Mr. Excitement and DJ Blessed will be there, Tanya. So
Okay.
you know those guys, they'll keep
Yeah.
the energy high. We have community resources that are coming through, and we've got a lot of gifts for those who come and get vaccinated. This is really to help people step up and take a stand for their family and their children and their neighbors. So we have a lot of gifts and giveaways for our people who come to be registered. So if you come, if you are vaccinated, come, but bring somebody who needs to be vaccinated or needs to have the conversation. And we're there, like you said, from 12 to 4.
Good stuff. Project 704. Thank you for that. There was one more comment by Mr. Babers. He said his granddaughter just turned 1. She had a COVID scare at daycare. How
I
do we
saw
help
that.
prevent this? So many questions, and there are lots of questions. But again, for someone that young, and I'm not sure if he's in the state of North Carolina, but now that the mask mandate has been lifted, there are talks about returning that. And I would think the daycare, you're going to have these scares and you're going to have some outbreaks. But I think for your part, is trying to make sure that you are practicing. So, for example, this is what a lot of people forget as I wrap things up. People are forgetting that even if you decide you don't want the vaccine, perfect example, I had a conversation with a couple, and one of them, her spouse is obviously overweight. And she says, "Well, I'm healthy, and so I don't worry about it." But you may get it, and if your partner has an underlying condition, health condition, you've got to think like that. You've got to think about the people around you, and I think we're not enough of the time thinking along those lines. But he says that he's in Colorado. Any suggestions for how do you keep a 1 year old safe?
Well, again, the first thing is that anybody that's around that child needs to be vaccinated. And then I think you need to hold that daycare to some higher standards at this point. My children are grown, but at any time that I had someone who is below that 12-year-old, they're vulnerable. And the age of people becoming ill is actually moving downward. We're away from our seniors now down toward our 15-year-olds, our 18-year-olds. So the first thing is you've got to hold that daycare accountable, that their standards have to be high. They have to be doing those checks, those thermometer checks. They have to be making sure that parents. I know when I was on the bus, we made sure that every parent had to say, no, they have not had any symptoms, and no, they have not been exposed to anyone who had any symptoms. And then we still did temperature checks. And then you still got hand sanitizer on the bus, hand sanitizer when you got off the bus. My thing is, you're going to have to make sure that daycare has high standards for health for all the children.
That's a good point. So I'm gonna let you guys go. It's so much fun. It's been great talking to you. And again, all the best for your event on tomorrow. And hopefully,
Thank you.
as you continue to have them, we'll keep in touch. And we love sharing this information with the community. So again, Judith Brown and James Lee of Project 70 Forward taking the time to tell us about their give back on tomorrow. Folks, it's time for me to move out of the way. Got so much information that we continue and love to share with you. We've got more that will be joining us as well, as we are here every Wednesday and Friday at 1 o'clock on YouTube as well as on Facebook. So please take the time to share. And if you would like to be a guest or send information on what you have, like Tracy, thank you for that conversation and those questions today. He says, thank you. Keep doing the good work. And we are only successful because you all have stood by us since January. I'll see you on Sunday. Well, I'll listen for you. That is on Sounds of Inspiration at Streets 1033, 100.5. I've got the best in gospel music starting at 7 a.m. We've got some big announcements and information we're sharing there as well. As always, life's challenges make you better, not bitter. Enjoy this Friday. Have a great weekend, folks, and make sure you're safe. As a team, together, we'll cancel COVID. Thank you to Mecklenburg County Public Health, MECCountyNC.gov or MECNC.gov, MECNC.gov for Mecklenburg County, as well as Groundwater Solutions. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy your day. Stay safe.